To the Prime Minister of Canada and the great Canadian nation. We refugees, in Indonesia from different countries and different nationalities who have been registered by UNHCR since 2012 and currently all have refugee status would like to bring your attention with great veneration in relation to the dire situation of all refugees, in the wake of slow resettlement process in the region. We refugees had no choice without leaving our countries. Countries which are restive, in a state of war. We represent territories that are perilous to live. We are the escapees of lands that are terribly and rampantly stricken and plagued with rule of injustice, discrimination, sectarianism, conflicts, genocide, absence of human's right and its violation, hate of religion, hatred of race and intense ethnic prejudice, and even from those countries which are directly involved in supporting terrorist organization in persecuting minorities due to their religious beliefs and cultural practices. Refugees here have undergone the most unspeakable experiences in multiple forms back in their homelands, but share the common pain and anguish. We are victims and not a single one of us has been spared. Horrific memories of violence keep haunting us with endless nightmares to follow. Fear for life it was, that compelled us to run for safety. To find a place where we call it home and exercise our rights with full freedom. Because in our war-torn countries we are not safe anywhere. We are cold-bloodedly massacred. Our houses, shops, schools, marriage centers, business spots, passenger vehicles, educational centers are not safe and have been under suicide attacks for decades. Meanwhile, our puppet government has shamelessly been indifferent towards the security of minorities, resulting in mass fleeing. In the present that we have refugee status and have been held here in this limbo in the absence of our fundamental rights on the temporary basis as we are stateless and waiting for resettlement, there looms no hope in sight since there is no inkling of resettlement for all refugees. Due to unclear future, a few young single refugees even committed suicide seeing their future slipping out of their hands, and some others attempted but fortunately were rescued on time. Apparently, we know Canada is far by distance from Indonesian refugees but very close by heart to them. As a member that complies with the Refugee Convention of 1951, it has been a staunch supporter of refugees throughout and leading from the front with a successful approach to helping them resettle in Canada. Down the road, it has maintained to thrive economically and culturally from the resettlement of refugees who are as skilled as other competent Canadian people. Thereby not a single incident comes in view where Canada has turned its back on refugees in dire need, rather constantly stood in solidarity with them and has always taken the initiative to come forward and acted out its responsibility towards refugees and their resettlement.
Will be something they will remember for the rest of their lives, but also, I know, something that you will remember for the rest of your lives. And I thank you deeply for being a part of this, because this matters. Tonight matters, not just for Canada, but for the world.
Canada has its reputation intact for taking refugees from all across the globe and is one of the most successful multicultural countries in the world. Taking into account how Canadian government has impressively contributed in pioneering for the rights of refugees by taking them in by means of its humanitarian aid, and we, refugees in limbo, also expect Canadian government to help us by putting end to our difficulties which have gradually taken life out of us and totally left us in bogland of impasse, valley of despair, and with emotional and psychological breakdown. Once again, we demand the Canadian government to kindly pay attention dire situation of refugees in Indonesia, put end to our statelessness status by offering resettlement and rescue us from this limbo. God bless Canada.